Wow, we got a lot to look at. We're not going to look at it all. We'll be here for a week.
I have no body parts
So, I'm going to begin with something we've all heard, and just think for a moment what it might mean to you, because I'll tell you what it means to me. God writes straight with crooked lines. I'm sure you've all heard that before, or read it, or seen it. God writes straight with crooked lines. Okay? So, the tension that I see in that, or the mystery in that, is really what's found in the first reading that Chris did from Sirach. Sirach is saying pretty much what you do, right, good or evil, you're responsible for the consequences for. And that's basic knowledge for most of us, right, human understanding, parenting. But he's also indicating when he talks about the wisdom of God, that, you know what, no one, nothing can change the will of God. No one or nothing, no time, nothing can change his design for the universe. And we believe that too. So there is the tension. How can God, giving us freedom to choose good or bad, still have his plan work out exactly as he intended? He doesn't cause us or tell us what to do. He leaves that up to us. He gives guidelines. We call them the commandments, right? The Beatitudes, to influence our decisions. But nothing I do, good or bad, is going to change the will of God. So the mystery is there, the tension is there. Because some people would like to say or believe, well, if God's plans are already made out for me, he knows what I'm going to do. We think back to Judas, right? The very beginning of the scriptures, the gospel writers already are indicating constantly. And Jesus chose Judas, but he knew he would be betrayed. Jesus knew that as God. But did he influence Judas's decision? Not really. Even at the Last Supper, Jesus says to him, well, go and do what you have to do. Judas could have said, I'm not going to go. I'm going to stay. It was totally up to him. Jesus didn't influence his decision. And yet he knew everything Judas was going to do and what was going to happen to him as God. So what I'm thinking about is what Amjad kind of talked about too, the mystery of obedience and the commandments. And he's talked about, for me, how the commandments that the laws of the Jews followed, the Pharisees and the scribes, and they wrote them down so we would have them, they somehow lost the meaning of them or the spirit of the law. And I love this picture. I bought this when I was in Israel, and it just came to me today in the readings that happened. I want you to take a look at it and just tell me what you see in it. Everybody can see it, okay? No, you can see.
I see Jesus holding up the two stones with the Ten Commandments on, and it's in the shape of a heart.
Yeah.
Showing his love
Kind of
for us.
appropriate for Valentine's Day.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Do we know it's Jesus?
Yeah, that's
Is
my
it Jesus?
question.
Well,
No.
right.
Who is it?
It
Who
looks
is
like
it?
Moses.
It's Moses. Exactly. It's not Jesus. It's Moses.
I got excited in the heart.
No, that's okay. It's all right. So, what
You
does
see
this,
the heart?
Yeah.
does it show, in a sense, a tension going on there? You think there's a tension?
No, I see them now more individual making the heart, but it also looks a little broken and jagged to me, which means that it's not a smooth path. It's not an easy, all these decisions, all these things that are laid out for us, the choice to follow them can be rocky. So, yeah, they don't look smooth, they look real jagged.
Okay.
But,
No, thank you.
That stands
That's
out
very
to me.
good. No, see, but you're an artist, so you can see
Rough.
that. Good luck.
Rough.
Yeah. Anybody else? See anything else in it that I see? Actually, that's what made me define it.
Well, there's a box there. It's the gift that God gave.
It's a present box, like a
Present box.
Christmas box.
I didn't see that.
And is it closed or
Anja would like you to move a
It's
little
open.
closer, please.
I didn't see that from there.
You can't
Oh,
see it, you
sorry.
can't see it from the camera.
Okay. I thought you couldn't see it, but you didn't want to see it. Yeah. Always.
Okay.
I definitely.
Yeah.
Now that I see it close.
All right, so yeah, so that's why I bought it, because I love the idea that Moses, in receiving the commandments of God, maybe at that moment didn't understand, but as time went on, the people and God, working with God in relationship, trusting God, trying to do with his commandments, began to realize that the commandments were a gift of love from God. The heart, right, and the box. They were God's gift to us of how much he loved us. And like a parent who knows a child needs to grow in that trust and love with them. There's obedience involved, there's expectations, there's maybe some commandments or laws, right, that are set down. I remember when I was growing up, I wanted to stay at my friend's house, my best friend Wayne, down the street sometimes, so we could listen to some music and this and that. My parents said, no, your home is here. You can go there and spend all the time you want, but you're coming back and you're staying here. And then when we got a little older, he had a beautiful collection of sweaters, and he wanted to give me some because he had so many. And I remember coming home with one, and my mother goes, where'd you get that? And I said, well, from Wayne, bring it back. If you need something, you tell us, we'll buy it for you. So, they had their laws, their expectations. I didn't always appreciate it. Sometimes I'm embarrassed by what I had to do or feel bad. But when I look back at it as growing up, it was the way they wanted me to be loved. They wanted me to know their love for me, not someone else's love. So, that stood out for me in that painting. And I think, that kind of tension is always going on with us in our world, in our lives. So there's a tension between those who are good and those who are bad. We are good, but sometimes we're bad. People that are bad are sometimes good, right? So there's always that tension going on between how do we see it, how do we understand it, how do we relate to it. People who are sick, I think of Penny and Caroline. Penny takes care of Caroline, right, most of the time. And now she's sick. She needs care. So the tension she feels, right, between giving that care and then needing that care is very hard, all right? I asked Jan to share just a little bit of a tension that happened for Valentine's Day with her and Jim. Jim's really shocked because he doesn't know.
All right, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Maybe I should say, Jim, what do you think it was?
Jim will be up.
It's the other two.
No, so what happened this past week is, we had a very bad leak in our guest bathroom. The water was pouring out of like
Oh, no.
fixture. So anyway, we had called our insurance company, and so a lot of people were coming. They shoveled the roof, they came in and looked at the damage, then we had an inspector come to look at the roof. So all this was happening, a lot of it on Saturday. So, we wanted to do other things, of course, but we didn't, we were waiting. But that night, we did have a nice little dinner and we lit a candle.
Oh.
So we had a little Valentine's celebration.
Oh, no, that's nice.
It is the gym. You are the gym. Yeah, and I think, it's interesting, I think of another adage. If only the young would, and if only the old could. And I love that, because that's the tension, right? We want to see our young people grow and mature in the Christian way, in the way of God's love for them. And we try to do it in so many ways, with them, helping them, right? Disciplining them, whatever it might mean, listening to them. And yet, we know sometimes it doesn't happen as quickly as we want. And maybe years later, they can come back to us in some way and say, wow, I really appreciated what you did for me. Not just the good moments, but sometimes the harder moments, right, that I needed. Teachers experience that all the time, maybe social workers. If you've ever had a student that over the years comes back to you, and they were a tough student to work with, and they come back and they thank you for what you did for them, and you never realized it would pay off that way, or that you had that much influence in their life, right? It's amazing. It's really amazing. So these are moments that help us to appreciate. We can go through the tension with people because we know that there is an outcome that's better, right? And that's because of our faith and our trust in our loving God. He does that with us and for us, I think, more than anything. So just some ideas. What do you think about tension in your life? What gives you cause to say, boy, I struggle with this mystery. I struggle with the tension right now that I'm trying to deal with. If we're young, it might have to do with school or a relationship with someone. If we're older, it might have to do with, like I said, a health issue, or it could be, another kind of thing that happens to us, or because of a friend. Our tension might be worry about what's going on with that person, that friend, how they're doing. So if anyone wants to share something of what the mystery and the tension is for you, I would appreciate that.
Well, Dennis, I struggled to get the snow out. The landscapers piled everything on the side of my driveway, covering my downspout. So it's still frozen. So you all know what that means up to.
Yeah.
And the ice, because the house is a condo and it's in a niche there and it's shadowed, the amount of sun we get isn't strong enough or long enough to thaw anything out. So some of my one neighbor is mocking me because I'm out there with a shovel. Every time any of the water melts, it cascades onto my driveway, which is pitched towards my garage door. And that freezes. And it's ruining my garage door gasket because every time freezing and then ripping it open, every time I open it comes. So I keep throwing more salt. And now I'm tracking the mess in and out, and it's hard.
Yeah.
So the grace of 3 neighbors, they came to my aid, one with cleaner salt, not the road trash heap. I think it's calcium chloride, to be honest, so it's a safer thing. Somebody with a shovel, and another neighbor with one a metal shovel, one with a plastic, and I had the tools to do it myself and get it done.
Wonderful.
And it made me think, well, instead of being bitter about the one next door who had her little nasty little comment, about they were chipping away at the ice every day. Well, yeah, what am I supposed to do? It was about 5-6 inches thick. And I'm the one doing the work by myself, so I don't think you need to.
No.
But when it's all said and done, I think it made me reflect that I'm in a good place, I have good neighbors, and the good outweighs the couple of little pitfalls. And she might have a reason why she's sitting at home watching and not getting out and being proactive for her own place. And maybe I shame her because I'm so efficient. Who knows? I'd like to think, but maybe not. Who cares?
You reflect on it very well.
Well, they got the job done, and through the kindness of others, it was done. And now I can look at it and say, let's hope we don't get the snow that's in the forecast for tonight.
Yeah.
you know?
Well, I'm glad you used that example, June, because I want to mention about my sister Mary. A lot of times I'll say, Mary, you need me to do something, and there's certain things she doesn't want me to do. But one of the things she doesn't ask me to do is what happened to you. She'll go out every day
Oh my, wow.
during that storm, the cold, whatever, and shovel her front sidewalk.
Mhm.
She'll test how deep the snow is, and then if it needs some more shoveling, so she does it in piecemeal. And then I said, well, that's good, just the front. She goes, no, I go to the back. I said, why do you go to the back porch? I said, no one's coming in the back. No, because I have the drain off the house there, and I want to make a path so I can get to the drain to clear it for that very same reason. She is so efficient and so thoughtful about how I need to live. It amazes me.
If you don't, then you suffer the consequence of damage that
right.
you gotta call somebody in.
So I was going to call her up to help me where I am.
Oh, Mary.
The snow Thanks, Julie. Yeah, so do I.
I saw Peggy's comment on the TV. She said, captured my eyes, that confrontational learner, right, Peggy? And
Right.
right, yes. I love what you said because of me. I thought about after somehow read your comment, it's me between God and me. You know, I'm the one, I'm not sure, I do not accept, my mistake right away. And I'm struggling with God. Even God says, you need to do this, then I ask why. And I'm the one confrontational learner with God. And many times that, I say yes to God. However, later, why God? Why? And I'm the one, keep asking God. I don't understand, I know you are right, but it's very difficult to accept it. That's my confrontational with God. So that's my struggling,
Let
every
me ask
day.
a question, so do I.
Yeah.
You have a daughter.
Mhm.
She was young once. Was she like you? Did she ask you a lot of questions?
A lot of
Why? Was no
questions.
have to do
Yes.
that? Okay. So you know what it's like to be a parent with a child who's going to question a lot of what you do.
She doesn't questioning a lot. I'm the one problem questioning God. And I always think that, am I being right? I think I did it right. But I'll
Isn't it better to be questioning
Mhm.
than to be saying no, 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 no?
Mhm.
Because I have a
Yes.
granddaughter that does that.
She's at that age. It's an age
We
thing.
thought it was when she was 6.
No, 7 is worse.
But you're right, but she has done some better things with that.
8 gets
I knew how
better.
to go around that, you get her to the opposite, as you know, Chris, If you want her to do something, tell her she can't. Let you do it. So, there are certain ways you can work it. But no, I think in our relationship and growth, right, with the commandments, let's say, we can either just be obedient and do them. Raina was sharing with me today, and I'm not gonna judge or, say this person is this way or that way, but there's one person, an older person, right, Raina? That.
Share this.
No, but she comes to her 7:30 church, because Raina goes to mass there first at St. Stephen's. She comes in, and she always leaves right after communion. So she doesn't have to face anybody in the parking lot, or whatever. There may be good reasons why she does it physically, okay? But to me, I'm thinking, does she leave after communion just because that's why she comes to church, just wants communion? She feels like, please God, if I get communion, right? And there was a time in the Catholic Church, I don't know if those who are Catholic knew this, but the church had to say, if you don't come in, how did it go? Let me see. If you came in late and missed the gospel, you didn't go to mass. Yeah, as priests, we were
I can see.
saying some of that. So, I mean, you know, obviously you're trying to deal with a situation that was happening, whether it's across the board or just a few people, you don't know. But, you know, it was all these, kind of like the Jewish, you know, 160, you know, rules. You know, you gotta fine print them, you gotta kind of tone them so that you make sure the person knows this is serious, right? This is serious. Well, the fact is, you know, just to obey a commandment isn't necessarily going to mean a lot to God, right? He wants the spirit of the commandment to live in you so that, like Jesus was kind of saying in the gospel, it's not enough to just say, I'm not going to divorce, right? Or I'm not going to commit adultery. I'm doing what God wants. But if I'm looking at every woman with lust, right, I'm sinning. I'm breaking what, you know, I'm doing in the first reading what God says I don't want people to sin, right? So he's breaking apart the commandment to say, look at the heart of what you're doing. And is it for God? Or is it out of obligation, right? Is it, you know, because you feel his love for you? Or is it because you feel he's going to judge you one day and either let you go up or down?
Kind of like what's your true intent?
Yeah, your intent, but also, you know, and the whole process of what I think Sunwa was talking about is so important for all of us. We need to have that conversation with God, either by reading his word and listening and understanding it and questioning it, right? Sometimes we're in our prayer, questioning God beautifully. You're not alone with that, you know, the Bible's full of people that did that. And those are the ones he chose. So, you know, to do bigger things. So you're doing bigger things because of why you question. But yeah, you know, it's really important that we can step away, especially as we approach Lent, right, this week, Ash Wednesday. So many people are looking at, okay, what did I do last year? Lent, right? Did I give up certain foods? Did I go to mass every day? And you know, that's fine. If that helps you to know God's love and spirit in your life to do other things for other people, that's wonderful. But if it means, oh, you know, I really wanted to get to mass on Friday and now I can't go, so I feel so awful. That's not what makes God feel bad. He feels bad that you think you got to be doing these things regularly, like routine, because you think this is how you're going to please him. You know? When a child does something out of love for you, it's much more important to you than if the child is just going to do things because you told them to do it every day. They're obeying you, yes, but are they doing it out of love for you? Not necessarily, okay? And it's important that they do that. I'm not saying they shouldn't, but understanding what they're doing and why is so important. And that's what Jesus, I think, struggled with the Pharisees was. He said, you know, do what they do. I mean, listen to what they say, but don't do what they do. Don't do it the way they're doing it because they're losing the spirit. They're not in touch with that spirit. So again, you know, this really says a lot to me. Any other person that wants to comment? Yeah.
There's something very striking about it. The person doesn't want the glory because he doesn't want to show his face. We don't know who it is. Unless you've read the Bible, you would not know. It could be a woman, for all you know.
At first glance, I thought it was.
Right.
Yeah, I did too.
So it's really not about the deliverer, the messenger, it's more the message.
Yeah.
And the other thing is very striking is there's nobody visible to receive it. So who's that for? It's for
Well,
the-
I'm understanding these are the mountains of Sinai, I guess, around, and I climbed Sinai, so I know. They look like, and so it's kind of like he's up on top, and I just think, you know, the people are down below.
It's true, but.
Maybe
not
they're
depicted.
looking up, and maybe they're not.
But they're not depicted.
Maybe they're still worshiping the golden calf, you know?
So it's really for the viewer looking at the painting
Yeah.
more than it is the people that are missing from the painting, really.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all about what God is doing, really, not about what we're doing, right? What is God doing in our life for us and with us? That's the key.
And what are you gonna do with that gift? What are you gonna do with it? What are, you know, each and every one of us is gonna do something different with that gift.
So what do you do with the commandments in your life?
I mean, at work, I mean, I've been with the table and prior to that, you know, with you guys elsewhere. It'll be 10 years this August. That is, you know, I can't even believe that. But I wanna say, like, I feel like I align my practice in my job with trying to teach kids how to love their neighbor, no matter what difference. I'm constantly doing, you would call it mediations in the old days, now we call them restorative conferences. I mean, I do maybe 1 or 2 a day. And it's trying to repair harm that happens between, you know, peer to peer, maybe it's a teacher and a student, staff to staff sometimes. And you had said, like, where's the tension that you feel? I've been feeling a lot of tension like the last 2 weeks, like every day, and I never feel like this at work. At lunch duty, it may sound crazy, but I'm in a role where I'm a counselor, but I'm also like the central adult in a room with 210 kids at lunch. And we have rules, we have specific process of how we have to get them quiet, get their attention, and then get them moving, all this other stuff. And whereas they used to listen to me, now I'm finding that they're not really, and we're really butting heads. And I'm getting internally frustrated and anxious primarily, but it's coming out, I think, in anger. And I'm trying to figure out, how do I continue with this goal of trying to teach kids through example, how to be kind and let their gentleness be known to everyone when I'm feeling like a giant Brillo pad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I really am, so there's some serious tension and reflection, and I'm talking to God as I walk down to lunch duty every day. Come through me, help me soften my heart, but also keep everybody safe. It just, there's fights that happen, it's a rough time. So I've definitely been challenged with how do I continue to let my gentleness be known, but I'm also asserting so much firmness more than ever before. I think makes me look like cranky pants. It's rare, and I don't love it. I don't love how it feels. It doesn't feel good. I don't feel good, you know.
When a child, or is it an individual who's doing certain things that act out this way, right? During lunchtime?
Yeah, and then it's
Can
like,
you-
I keep trying to give them multiple chances mixed with some redirection, and they get some consequences. But ultimately, they get 30 minutes out of their day
Yeah.
to let loose.
Sometimes it's a blowing steam off.
Hard.
Yeah.
It's hard, but I'm trying to ask God, how does He want me to be used in those situations? Because I risk kids not wanting to come to me if they think I'm a meanie.
Well, I know what you're doing is so important, because my grandson Caillou, when he was in the Catholic school, during lunchtime was the worst time for his bullying.
Absolutely,
Autistic, as you know.
110%.
Yeah, and, you know, what you're doing is hard, but it's so necessary.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is. We go back to prophets like Jeremiah, right? He had a hard mission. Even his family turned on him, and, you know, everybody. And he's kind of questioning God. Lord, why did you choose me? Is this what, I'm not getting anywhere, you know? I'm losing ground rather than gaining ground. And yet, he kept with it, because he knew in his heart God was with him, God wanted him to be there, and he just had that relationship with God. Obviously, you know, that was strong. The bond was very strong. In fact, Jesus used Jeremiah, more quotes from Jeremiah than almost any other prophet, because he saw his own mission that way, you know.
Hey, Doug said something. That is why we celebrate Eucharist, because lunchtime is hard. God wants us to do hard work. Do this in remembrance of me.
Amen. Thank you, Anja. Very good. So we're gonna
Raise your
go,
hand for me real quick.
I'm sorry?
Just raise your hand.
Oh.
No, it's
Seriously?
Molly. Okay.
Is that, can I lower it now, Mom?
Yeah, you can put it down.
Okay. Anyone else wants to watch the thoughts, Chris?
Just one thing with you, what you had said before, if the youth would and the elderly could, it just, we have 3 kids who are all in various states of, finding their own paths in life. And it's definitely a tension that, we want to provide guidance, but at the same time, they're going to pick their own ways, which, we never would have thought, from, where we were. So it's definitely, there is a lot of, back and forth and, not putting too much pressure on ourselves.
We grew up with do as I say, not as I do. And that's how we both grew up. And I think we both, whether it's subconscious or not, have tried to be, no, do what I do and what I say. Like, we're trying to be the example. And also, especially when we have a child leaving the house. She's leaving in August. She's not going far, but she's leaving. And she's 17 and she's a baby. She's our baby, but she's not. And she's got to make these decisions for herself. And all we can do is keep bringing her here when she doesn't have rehearsal and keep supporting and
little things
making good
you do.
choices.
Little
Why are you
things.
crying?
Well, and what Kennedy is picking for, for her major and what Molly, decided, I never would have thought of those for either of them.
Really? Yeah. I mean,
That's a conversation that needs to happen. Okay. No, but you're right. They are into big things for themselves because they're planning their life, future, right? Their goals that are so important to who they're going to become, how they're going to become that. But for you, as parents, your job is little things, not those big things. You worry about the big things. You're concerned about the big things, but you really enter into that relationship in little ways. Conversations, off the key, off the cuff, we would say. Like, boy, I'm really gonna miss you. I hope that what we have done for you means something to you, and how much we love you. Little things that they'll carry with them wherever they go. They'll say, oh, my dad said this or that. It's not the big, sit down and let's discuss this. That could be important too, but it's the little things, I think, that will enter into that picture, For me, that's how I felt. Growing up, remembering the little things, both the discipline as well as the good things that they said. Yeah, Robin.
So my thought is that the commandments themselves is like the highest of any bar. So you wouldn't tell your children, okay, C's are great, maybe we should try for B's. I just feel like if and being in sales, if I had, say, a $5,000 monthly sales, you're looking to do maybe 7,000, and then you fall somewhere in between. So you wouldn't tell, your spouse, I'm gonna love you this high, but let's shoot for this. You want the highest bar, right, so the commandments.
That was a great guy.
And I don't have children, but, like Haley, my niece now is 13. And sometimes it's interesting. And my niece, Jessica, is like the best mom ever. But sometimes Haley will tell me a few things that she probably wouldn't tell or ask or share with her mother. Which Jess did that when my sister-in-law, had no clue of what my niece was telling me, back in the day. So I just feel like I raise the bar and I'll tell her a little bit about life, and Haley will listen, and I said, your mom, you gotta think of 10 things that your mom constantly does for you. And it's a lot, because she works full-time as a PA. All these kids there's 3 of them, and they're in like 2 sports each. And I don't know, I used to ask Jess, and now I don't even ask her, like, do you have 10 minutes to yourself? She's like, barely. But I just feel like if the bar is really raised, like the commandments, and you try to live your life that way, you might not always get to that high bar, but you're gonna get a little bit better than, okay, C's are okay.
Mhm. And sometimes it's good, I think God does this with us. Sometimes it's not that we're saying, I think this is what you want, God. I think this is how I have to be for you, God. But God says, you know what? What do you think you're doing? What do you think about how you're doing? So in other words, to raise the question, are you happy with the C's? You know, I'm not happy, but are you happy with them?
Right.
Or do you think you could do better? You know what I'm saying? You let them kind of answer how they're doing, how they're feeling. Because I remember in confession, I'll tell you, the best penance I could give a kid was the kid's penance that he thought he needed. He was harder on himself than I could ever be when you go through the confession with them, really. They want to do so much better in so many ways if they're confessing something that I didn't do right or I'm sorry for. That you ask them, well, what do you think would be a good penance for you? Something you could do. Wow, I never would have thought of that. You know, it's amazing, yeah. And I think that's what Lent is about. You'll know, those who come on Wednesday will understand more about, I don't want to get into it now. But Amjad wanted me to concentrate more on the word repentance. That's kind of our discussion point. What does it mean for you? But also, where do you see repentance happening? Either in the Bible and stories or with people around you that show some way of repenting.
Thank you for tuning in. Please like, comment, and subscribe.